never fully healed. It was only one in a series of devastating decisions that ultimately required the prescription of bitter medicine by the then Prime Minister, who left office before he could administer it. It was not the government that paid the price of that bitter medicine. The price was paid by the people. The sacrifice was made by the masses to pay down the JLP debt from 140% of GDP to where it is today. During the IMF imposed austerity, civil servants consented to frozen wages year after year, while the cost of living climbed around them. Their sacrifice, their suffering, and silence, the invisible fuel of national recovery. Users of the health sector were told by the IMF that spending could not increase because the priority was paying down the debt the JLP government had accumulated. And every single Jamaican absorbed that cost through their sacrifice, their suffering, and their solidarity with Sister P and Peter P. As a result of the sacrifice of the people to create the fiscal space for greater social spend, health spending has grown from $60 billion to almost $200 billion. That growth is real, but the very people who sacrificed then are still sacrificing today. Because although the health budget has tripled, the suffering has worsened over the last 10 years. Babies more likely to die even when the budget has tripled. More pregnant mothers dying during childbirth even when the budget was tripled. More diabetes, more hypertension, more strokes, rising faster than the global average, even when the budget has been tripled. Because this government does not believe in the people. The evidence is there in the allocation of resources. The evidence is in who benefits and who continues to be left behind. The evidence is in the gap between the announcement and the outcomes. They achieve tactical objectives, but never the strategic objectives. A gap that is measured not in dollars, but in human lives. The same pattern lives in the Hurricane Melissa aftermath. Jamaicans are living in shelters while their government sits on $1.4 billion of donated aid. $1.4 billion, $26 million spent out of $1.4 billion. Money that Jamaicans sacrifice to send to their brothers and sisters sleeping on the tarpaulins while this government sits on their donations. This is not incompetence. This is a pattern. A pattern of an uncaring government that spends freely but never on the needy. Mr. Speaker, you cannot tell a man to eat right and exercise and not drink rum and boom when he has lost everything and the government is sitting on the cash meant to help his family. You cannot discuss period poverty with a woman in a shelter. First, you must fix that poverty, period. Hurricane Melissa's aftermath is not just a housing crisis. It is a moral failure on the part of the government. Partaking in photo ops with suffering hurricane victims, knowing full well they are sitting on money donated in the name of humanity and refuse to spend it on them. We cannot speak of mental health achievements when half the country is wondering if their lives will ever be the same again and counting down the days to the next hurricane season while sleeping on the tarpaulins. It is unconscionable, and no amount of spin doctoring by the squealers on this animal farm can save you from the conclusions that Jamaicans have already drawn about how you really feel about them. The world is watching how the government is treating those most in need of restoring their lives. And pardon my violation of the standing orders, Mr. Speaker, it not look good. Mr. Speaker, health is not the exclusive domain of the Ministry of Health. When a grandmother cannot afford the taxi fare to keep her clinic appointment, to keep her high blood pressure under control, that too, Mr. Speaker, is a health crisis, and the minister responsible for transport must answer. When a pensioner must choose between her electricity bill and her prescription, that too is a health crisis, and the minister responsible for energy must answer. when a cataract patient joins over 4,500 patients who cannot get sight-saving surgery from the Cubans because their government chose visas over vision. That too is a health crisis, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs must answer. And when the mother who falls into the gap, not poor enough for path, but can't afford to send her child to school, and the child is malnourished and unable to learn, that too is a health crisis, and the Minister of Labour and Social Security must answer. When a family cannot afford vegetables and subsist on chicken back and rice and peas, that too is a health crisis, and the Minister of Agriculture must answer. And when the rats and roaches run amok in uncollected garbage piling up in our communities, that too is a health crisis, and the Minister of Local Government must answer. And when the most vulnerable users of our public health hospitals must beg on social media to find money for their treatment, when only the connected few enjoy the promised prosperity, that too is a health crisis, and the Minister of Finance must answer. We do not have a healthcare system that caters to the masses. We do not have a government that caters to the masses. No fiscal, agricultural, or even donation policies address the socio-economic determinants of health. And all of it together, every gap, every failure, every unanswered cry is a national health crisis. One that this government must admit to and stop covering up with promises and prophecies. I left out water. I thought, we're good. We're good. Mr. Speaker, on Sunday, I saw a woman gunned down in cold blood by one who had sworn to serve and protect her. Then her body was pulled from the car by the feet like a carcass and thrown in the back of a van. Whereas due process must be allowed and justice must take its course, we all know what we saw. What we saw was one woman losing her life and several men losing their humanity. Humanity is the quality of compassion, empathy, and moral care that we extend to one another. It is putting the needs of others before ourselves, understanding that true happiness is not found in accumulation, but in contribution. True fulfillment is not the product of receiving, but of giving, that we may live on an island, but no man is an island. But I fear that we are losing our humanity because we have ignored the existence of our spiritual health, the final component of health. We have become polarized by party politics so much that some would defend the exploitation and abuse of others because our core desire to be a part of the party collective is greater than our God-instilled desire to defend the vulnerable. We have rationalized our partiality by reducing human lives to lesser beings based on their address, the shade of their skin, and the size of their bank accounts. And in doing so, we are destroying our own spiritual health. Too many Jamaicans are physically fit, mentally stable, but spiritually dead inside because they chose selfishness over service, prosperity over philanthropy, and politics over the people. Every day that we turn a blind eye to the suffering of our brothers and sisters, a little piece of what it means to be human dies in us. Yes. To save our spiritual health, we must subordinate our self-interest to a greater purpose. And that greater purpose is to give hope to the hopeless, be a voice for the voiceless, and work together to destroy the system that sees poor people sleeping on hospital floors while billions of dollars are misallocated or missing. A system where people are still suffering from Hurricane Melissa while humanitarian aid sits idly. I believe that we still have empathy and compassion that defines us as Jamaicans, and I believe that we still have the blood of the revolutionaries in our veins. And that is why I still believe that there is hope for a better healthcare system in Jamaica. Because once we have awakened from our slumber, we will fight together to dismantle this current system and build a better one. Yes. We will demand together that proper health care be treated as a human right enshrined in our Constitution, regardless of their job or their address, a human right for every single Jamaican. And when enough of us have decided that enough is enough, and we will fight not for prosperity for the few, but provision for the many, we can in unison say it loudly across Jamaica land we love. To the patients sleeping in the emergency rooms tonight, don't fret too much, because better will come. To the family praying for an ICU space, hold the faith, because better soon come. And to those holding on to the last string of hope for a better life, hold on just a little longer, because better must come. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Pow, 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 crap.